Welcome, Shack Packers, to Tales from the Shack. Step inside where the stories are cosy, but the chills run deep. This week we bring you a short tale from the Shack to ignite your imagination and possibly send a shiver down your spine. We're thrilled to have you join us, so grab your favourite brew, pull up a seat and swing that light, and let the magic of storytelling whisk you away. So, after I told Steph I'd stopped cleaning the shack because of hearing strange old-fashioned music and then knocking sounds and a man politely clearing his throat, she came straight over. Not with sage or a spirit board, mind you, with a toolbox, a torch, and a packet of hobnobs. Because that's Steph, practical, unshakable, and completely sceptical about my claims of spirit interruptions.
Right, where's this spooky dust bunny that's freaked you right out? Let's be having you.
From the outside, the shack looked its usual self, surrounded by ancient oaks, looking quite the abandoned, slightly haunted wooden cabin chic. But inside, as always, warm, welcoming. The fireplace, usually warm and glowing, is now dormant for the summer, but cosy rugs and cushions abound, and our recording gear sits on the desk, waiting like quiet sentries. Steph dropped her bag by the chair, surveyed the room and declared,
Right, well, thankfully the only spirit I see is the one that I brought with me. You up for a wee tipple? I best not, because I'm driving back in a bit, so as usual, I will remain spiritless.
She was in full debunking mode. I showed her where I'd left off with the cleaning. It was by the old bookshelf near the corner. That's where I heard it, I said. The knock, 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 followed by a low, polite male voice clearing his throat, like a ahem, that seemed to come from nowhere in particular, but was so clear as to stop me mid-clean. But just before that was strange old music I was telling you about, that weird old-fashioned music. Only about 5 or 6 seconds of it, but it was really creepy.
Did it by any chance say, it's like thunder, lightning, the way you love me is frightening? Just putting that out there.
We both laughed. Before I replied, no, just a hum. The music I heard was even more old-fashioned. It was, like I said, the old, like gramophone playing, an old 45 record or something. Steph stared at the wall, hands on her hips.
I mean, these old houses expand and contract like nobody's business, so it could be a bit of that, coupled with mice, preparing for a party, moving furniture.
She tapped the wall. Nothing.
A male voice, you say? Well, I was going to say Eddie Floyd or Steve Cropper, but, they're still with us.
She tapped again. And there was a slight creak, and then we both froze. But Steph's face didn't flicker. She raised one eyebrow and said,
Okay, first of all, how rude. If you're going to haunt someone, the least you could do is introduce yourself first.
I began to smile and was sort of halfway between smug and mildly amused. Steph wandered around the shack talking out loud.
All right then. I'm assuming that you're a bit of a fan of the 60s R&B, or potentially, having said that, maybe you're a bit more of a 70s disco kind of guy. So let's see. Knock once for yes, twice for no, or 3 times for I'd rather have a shot of that whiskey you brought with you, no ice thanks very much.
We waited in anticipation. Then Steph blinked.
Well, Mum, you may be right. You've either found yourself a ghost or a really bad drummer, potentially both.
She sat down in the big chair by the fire and looked thoughtful for a long time. Finally, she said,
You know that I have never felt anything particularly spooky in any real spaces. So, if I had to put my finger on what I'm feeling right now, I feel like it's, comfortable. I don't feel threatened in any way, but at the same time, I feel like I'm totally being judged for not putting more effort into my attire this morning, and I should have taken my boots off before I came in. Does that make sense?
Just then, from the far corner came a faint rustle, and then another polite, slightly grumpy. Steph stood up.
Right, that's it. Put the kettle on. I think a brew is in order. Because if we're going to have a full-scale conversation with like Umbridge's dad or whoever this is, then I'm going to need a cup of tea. And he needs to understand the first rule of the shack. Because the first rule is you show good manners at all times.
And that, dear Shack Packers, is how Steph began her reluctant relationship with the paranormal. No running, no screaming, no salt circles, just a kettle, some sarcasm, and a quiet agreement that something might be going on. And if it is, it had better behave itself. She hasn't admitted anything yet, but she left her biscuits behind, which tells you everything, really.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's Tales from the Shack. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Until then, keep your minds open, your lamps lit, and we'll see you all again next week at the Freakin Shack. Contact us at fshack03@gmail.com or find us on social media by searching hashtag the Freakin Shack. That's freaking without a G. We're looking forward to hearing from you really soon.